Reaching some of the most spectacular islands I've ever seen. This looks like an incredible spot to dive. This place is so alive at the moment. This is incredible. G'day, welcome back and good morning from one of the most unreal anchorages I've ever been in. This is just absolutely incredible. It's like something I'd imagine out of a Peter Pan kind of fantasy movie or something. We've got these limestone cliffs with rainforest coming down onto live coral, like pristine coral. We've managed just to anchor the boat in the middle and got it all to ourselves. This is pretty surreal, to be honest. This adventure is going to be a month-long adventure that's playing out on both this channel and as well as the B2B Castaways channel. From the drone this morning, I had a little bit of a look around and it just takes your breath away, like the amazing live coral. But up in this section here, it looks really, really cool. It looks like there's a bit of a lagoon. So I'm going to take the tender up, have a little bit of a look around here while everyone wakes up and see what we can find. Wow, now this is seriously special, guys. To have the live coral like this, which is so fragile, so shallow, so close to the surface, you need a unique set of circumstances that allow that to happen. So in here, obviously, it doesn't get any wave action or any storm action that allows this coral to grow and thrive. I actually saw some larger trevally GTs chasing baitfish in through here this morning. So, I mean, we'd be able to see them from the boat. It's so clear at the moment. Those fish look like they're hovering because you can't tell where the surface of the water starts. So on this trip, we're helping my oldies, mum and dad, take their boat from remote Indonesia here back to Australia over the course of a month. And it is just so special to see them absolutely in their element on board the boat. So a few of you, like regular viewers, remember they were on the Great Adventure 2 where we went remote through the Kimberley, and on that trip, seeing them on the small little boat, and they were sleeping on rocks and sleeping in the hammocks and stuff. I thought, you guys are too old for this, but good on you. But now seeing them on board their catamaran, which has been like a lifelong dream for them for a long time to buy the boat and do the yacht life, it's pretty special. And for Fran and I, it's obviously something we aspire to do one day, have a catamaran like that. So very cool to see, and we're learning the ropes along the way. One of the things we have been warned about is like mangrove areas like this are home to saltwater crocodiles, even out here. So we do have to be mindful where we choose to swim. But we did torch around last night and saw no crocodile eyes, so that's a promising sign anyway. But Fran really wanted to explore up further, so I'm going to save that for her when she wakes up, and we'll do that on a Castaways episode. Looks like a magic little creek runs up there. So these islands are renowned for having the highest marine biodiversity in the world. A bit of a claim to fame. On one of the dives here had the most number of species ever recorded on a dive, which is just incredible. And even when we're swimming around, it is quite overwhelming, just the number of different species. And while it's normally the big species that attract my attention because I generally like spearing them or catching them, in these type of areas, you've got to kind of look past that, and there's a whole bunch of weird and wonderful tiny little creatures which are kind of the stars of the show here. And especially diving with mum, who's right into that sort of thing, we're really looking at for the little stuff. Every night we're studying the fish books, and there's a whole bunch of species that I've seen in these fish books for a number of years but never seen in real life. But this is the area they're found. There's some like the pygmy seahorse, which, you know, the size of a fingernail. They're a tiny bright pink little seahorse that attaches itself to a Gorgian fan, a type of coral. But there's one shrimp I noticed called the Donald Duck shrimp, which is a crazy looking animal and quite appropriately named. It's got this huge big beak. And some of these species live in kind of areas like this. So I'm going to jump in, have a look around and just see what I can find. Here lives the loudest species in the world. He creates a noise louder than a gun from a movement so fast that it sends a shock wave of water bubbles that momentarily reaches the heat of the surface of the sun. This shock wave can kill its prey around it. Can you see him? There he is, the pistol shrimp. But he's near blind, so he's formed an unlikely friendship with the goby fish. While he digs and maintains the burrow, the goby keeps a lookout for danger. Now watch the goby's tail as he signals danger is nearby, and the pistol shrimp retreats for cover. An odd couple, but it's an amazing symbiotic relationship that gives both of them the best chance at survival. What a magic way to start the day. Now we've got some tank dives planned today to some pretty special spots, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll go back, have a bite to eat, get geared up, and then let's go scuba diving. Look at that. Bloody amazing, eh? It's like snorkeling from out of the water at the moment. When provisioning for this trip, I knew I wouldn't solely be able to rely on foraging for sea grapes in order to keep a balanced diet. So my rations were largely taken up from a couple of months worth of AG1. It's been a key part of my morning routine for 18 months now, and I'm still raving about it to friends and family, especially when traveling. You're seeing a whole heap of new things. You're not quite sure what's around the next corner or where your next meal is coming from. I do just love one bit of consistency, and that is having AG1 as part of my morning routine. I then know that whatever the day throws at me, my body has got exactly what it needs to keep firing at 100%. Even when trying to do the grocery shopping here, your body is going to be exposed to a whole heap of new and potentially nasty bugs. So you really need your immune system firing on all cylinders, and that's something that AG1 can help with. If you haven't yet given it a try, guys, here's a bit of a life hack that I recommend you do. Click the link in the description, have a read through the long list of benefits. There's things like mental clarity, healthy aging, focus throughout the day. See if any of these tickle your fancy, then make an order, and you've got 60 days to decide whether you're happy with the results or not. So basically there's going to be two outcomes. Either you're happy, you're stoked with the results, or your money back and no harm in trying. That link in the description is also going to get you 5 free travel packs and a year's supply of vitamin D3 and K2. Now's the best time, guys. Good luck with it. All right, we're all loaded up. We're heading out for a scuba dive. Yeah, it is. The viz looks beautiful. There's this beautiful almost cove in this little island here where there's a bit of shelter, so we've anchored on the sand. We're going to jump in and do a bit of a dive through here. It looks incredible. We'll take you underwater. As soon as we enter the water, I just get the feeling that this is going to be a pretty epic dive. The water is crystal clear, the corals are thriving, and the fish life plentiful. This area is a conservation zone where no fishing is allowed, so we're hoping to see some of the more desired fish species that, unfortunately, are commonly overfished in the non-protected areas. We exit the shallow lagoon through a hole in the limestone cliff and head out for deeper water. Straight away, we're greeted by some beautiful vermicular trout, one of the coolest fish in the ocean, and we don't actually get these guys back home on mainland Australia, so it's amazing to see them like this. We continue along the reef edge, hoping to reach the point where the current is hitting. These currents create an upwelling of nutrients as the water is pushed up towards the surface by the seamount slope. And these nutrient-rich waters fuel the entire ecosystem, allowing corals to thrive, the fish to aggregate and feed, and the entire food chain feeds and thrives off the back of this. We call this the pressure point. It's the place where the bait fish school up, and sure enough, the bigger predatory fish aren't far behind. We find ourselves in the middle of a feeding frenzy. The giant trevally dart through the schools of bait fish, while the coral trout and cod lurk discreetly down below, waiting for their chance to ambush. Boasting the richest marine biodiversity in the world, this is a diver's paradise. It's almost a bit overwhelming. Like, wherever you look, there is something interesting happening, from the biggest fish to the smallest creatures camouflaged in amongst the bottom. This place is teeming with life. Everywhere and everything on the bottom is living, but a lot of them are hiding like their life depends on it. What an amazing dive. So we actually exited this kind of lagoon area through that hole in the wall there, and that's where it dropped down, and all those bigger fish were, like the vermicular trout. We even saw a dog-toothed tuna, so that was pretty special. We're gonna take the tender around now to the other side of this little island. From the drone, it looked like there's a bit of a lagoon there, so we're gonna go and check that out, and maybe even try to walk up to this house on the hill, which is quite an interesting spot to build, so we'll go check it out. It's like a lagoon on the inside of this island, and there's a couple of houses that have been built on stilts out over it. It's absolute paradise in here. All right, let's start the walk up. Oh, wowee. It's one of the best views I've ever seen, I think. That is amazing. Look at the coral. So we just had the tender anchored there. We went out and dove here through that hole in the wall, down and around, and came back. A pirate ship on the horizon. Well done to whoever built this. Just going up to the second story now. Check that out. So this lagoon down here, it's hard to imagine like a better designed dive village than this. You know, you've got your accommodation on stilts over the lagoon, then out this side is that world-class diving which we just did. Ooh, a bit scared up here actually. Alright, as that tide has now turned, it means the current has changed and is going a different direction. So we're going to throw the scuba tanks on again and go and dive somewhere completely new. There's a couple of islands that come out of the water and a rock, and what that means is when the current hits it, creates a real hot spot for larger schooling fish. So that's what I'm hoping we see on this dive. Yeah, pretty excited for it. Let's go.
One of the best things about diving later in the day is it's generally feed time before the fish go to sleep. And that definitely seems to be the case today. The reef is a hive of activity and energy. The fish are on the hunt and they're all feeding. We come across a garden of staghorn branching corals. This is the ideal hiding spot for these green chrome damselfish. But as they're popping their heads out of their hiding spots to feed in the current, they need to be careful. There's some bigger fish around that are also looking for a feed. Schools of trevallies are on the hunt. While the smaller fish don't interest him, this giant humphead Maori wrasse is an expert at hunting hidden crabs. And he's just got himself a mouthful. One of the coolest fish in the ocean, protected in a lot of parts around the world, they are one of the most intelligent fish and definitely a crowd favourite. And it seems like it's feed time all round. Here's three of the most beautiful fish in the ocean, also having a bit of a feast. The Moorish idol, the emperor angelfish, and the clown triggerfish. These guys are all favourites for aquariums around the world. As the sun starts to set behind the cliffs, it's time to return to our anchorage where I'll be sleeping with a smile from ear to ear tonight.
Indonesia, a country made up of over 18,000 islands. And they chose this group to be on their largest note, the 100,000 rupiah. It shows it's a pretty special area. Now, check out the Castaways episode with Fran and I exploring these islands, but for now, we've got to keep this adventure going, we've got to keep sailing. So right in the middle of this passage between two of the bigger islands, there's these three rocks that just break the surface, and around that, of course, is a beautiful fringing reef. This looks like an incredible spot to dive. So we're gonna pull the boat up, jump in and just have a quick free dive and see what it's like. But these spots generally, because they get all that current running through the passage, they're an absolute hot spot. So let's get straight in there. I've got high hopes for this. Alive at the moment. This is incredible. There's thousands of those fusiliers here, the smaller fish, and then that brings all the bigger fish like the red bass and the GTs that are feeding. We are about to cross the equator and it's an absolute glass out day. Literally the wind is just pushing us over. I'll show you the GPS in a minute. We're about to go 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And it's a bit of a special deal if you're crossing it by boat. There's all sorts of things you got to do. You got to jump in the water, pour a drink to Neptune, all this sort of stuff. So it's going to be exciting. It's very, very exciting. First time I've ever done it. 3, 2, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Just crossed the equator. Cheers, Neptune. Thanks for being so generous the last few days. First beer in the Northern Hemisphere. I think you're meant to do a nudie swim as well, but yeah, we're gonna pass on that one with mum and dad on board. We are approaching some of the most spectacular islands I've ever seen. The thing that gets me though is that the lack of people. There's not another single boat around. These kind of spectacular gorges are something similar to what I've seen before in the PP Islands in Thailand, which a lot of people would have seen. But here there's just no people. This is absolutely incredible. I'm gonna get the drone in there and fully check it out. Seems there's an endless amount of these little white sandy beaches and little hidden coves and bays. This is going to be amazing to explore over the next few days, and from the drone it actually looked like the live coral straight off the shore was exceptional. So we're looking forward to this. We're going to come off a little bit deeper and anchor in the sand, and then that's going to give us a perfect launching pad to explore all of this over the next few days. First thing on the agenda today is we're going to run the boat aground. Obviously when you're sailing and when you're on boats, it's probably one of the most important things not to run the boat aground, but we've got to run aground to do a bit of maintenance. It looks like this sandbar behind us here could be a good spot. So we're going to throw a mask and snorkel and just go suss it out and see whether we can fit the catamaran in there. So when the tide drops, it'll sit high and dry and allow us to do a bit of maintenance on the propellers underneath the boat. Let's go check it out. All right, going down. Dad's just got in to test the height of the water here. That's where we're going to attach the catamaran to. We're just going to go deploy the anchor further up right on the sandbar. All right, we've got a nice sandy patch there. We've got our stern line secured. Dad's just turned the bigger catamaran on. He's going to reverse that in. I'm going to attach that stern line, pull the catamaran in, but the tide is now dropping very quickly. So we're only going to get one shot at this to land it in the right spot. Basically, if we land it on a bit of an angle, then it puts too much forces on one of the hulls of the catamaran. If we land it too high, it's going to go too high and dry, and we won't be able to get it off for another couple of weeks until we get that high tide again. So there's a bit of pressure here. We get one shot at this landing. Fingers crossed we can get it right. Looks like she's landed pretty nicely on the sand there. Got a little window of opportunity now to get these propellers off, new sacrificial anodes on, get them back on. That's good. I've been told that cruising on a sailing boat is pretty much just doing boat maintenance at various different beautiful locations. And if that's the case, we're certainly getting into the swing of things now, because there's not too many better dry docks than right here to do a bit of work on the boat. So that being said, that's probably just about enough for the day. We've got that anode changed over. We'll see if we can squeeze in a dive this afternoon. All right, while we're waiting for that tide to drop out and the boat to go high and dry, we're gonna head out for a bit of an explore on the tender and head up some of this kind of labyrinth of coves and see where we get to. Which way, Mum?
That way.
Sounds good. Hang on. Looks like a beautiful little patch of coral here, so we're gonna jump in for a snorkel and just let the current kind of drift us through this maze here. Now we've just seen a wave breaking here, and quite optimistically we brought surfboards on the boat for this trip with, you know, very little chance to surf, but it looks like there's possibly a wave. I'm gonna get the drone in the air and see if there's anywhere here we can have a paddle. The wave is not quite surfable, unfortunately, but we haven't lost all hope yet. We'll keep looking, but for now it's time for another snorkel. This part here, this little section here looks absolutely beautiful, so we're gonna jump in and swim down this little edge here. prized fish in here. These big moo and long-nosed emperor are very sought after for spearos. This is one of the reasons this area is so special. Just check this out. It seems to be like, you know, nothing special about this reef, but there's so much life. It seems everywhere you look, there's like giant clamshells and anemone fish, and oh, it's just amazing. It's like a beautiful coral gardens here. Cave under there, let's go see what's inside. Watched in here. No pirate's treasure. I love these fish when they're a juvenile. It looks like their fins and their tail is almost too big for them. They end up growing into an ugly, ugly fish, but when they're a juvenile, they're so cool.
How's the colours here? Look at that, there's pandanus coming down onto the white sandy beach. It's pretty special. Just following this kind of little, almost looks like a creek up here to see if there is any actual fresh water or like a bigger mangrove system that might hold any mud crabs or anything like that. There's a few of these smaller mangroves here. You see there's mud skippers skipping around. Oh, nothing too interesting around there. We'll get back in the tender and then keep exploring up this little system here. A possible crocodile slide here. Only a very little one if so, but that'd be his claw there. Before he comes up and turns around. It's a bit hard to tell with the smaller ones whether it's a crocodile or just a goanna. The crocodile normally walk with a bit more of an S bend in their track, and also they will drag their belly, so there'll be a belly slide, whereas a goanna will walk high on his feet and he won't drag his belly. Bit hard to tell with that one though. Oh, how's the coral here? Look at this, straight off this little beak. That bit is beautiful. We're keen to explore some more of the deeper waters, so we throw our scuba diving gear on and head off to an isolated rock before jumping in. And as we descend through the plankton-rich, rather gloomy waters, the silhouettes of sharks appear. Big ones and lots of them. This is no normal occurrence. We quickly realise we've descended onto some crazy aggregation. They're huge, and with so many of them, we're doing our best to get out of their way. Our nerves ease as we recognise these as tawny nurse sharks. Although they're big, they're nothing to worry about for divers. This is a pretty incredible moment where we just happen to be in the right place at the right time. I've never seen them aggregate like this, so we do our best to try and take it all in. We then continue the dive, drifting with the current along a wall, when a dark crack opens up into a humongous cavern. It's almost like an amphitheatre of sorts underwater. What an amazing structure. The dark caves have large fish lurking in the shadows, and every inch of real estate on the walls is taken by live corals. This is up there with one of the coolest dives we've done. And on the way up to the surface, we sight a couple of my favourite pelagics, a dogtooth tuna and a Spanish mackerel cruising through the baitfish, which gets me very excited to start spearing again when the time comes.
There's a big school of bait fish in the shallows here that's been chased by fish all day. Wonder how many of them are going to make it through the night. Look at them. Sun is just setting behind the cliffs now, wrapping up another amazing day out here. If you're new here, this episode's part of a bigger adventure, about a month-long trip playing out on 2 channels. This one here, B2B Adventures, as well as the B2B Castaways channel with Fran and myself. So subscribe to both channels, and if you click on this playlist, you can watch the entire series in order. I feel like this trip is just starting to warm up. We've got a lot of good things coming, so look forward